I ever tell you about the time my buddy Keith and I sucked each other's dicks? All right. I'm trying to think of something on the fly.
No,
But I do have
we're
something
recording. We're
funny.
recording now. We're recording now. That's on tape. That's on tape. That's on.
All right. Now, right. Let me tell you a story I told my girlfriend about the time I punched Chuck E. Cheese when I was little. One of the funniest moments of my life. Um, when I was little, I was before 10 for sure. Maybe around 5 years old. I was at my cousin's birthday party. He lives up in Michigan, but I don't remember if this was in Michigan. I live in Ohio, by the way, for those of you listening. I live up. I don't know if I went up there. He went down here, but I think I was about 5 years old. In case I just so happened to be, being listened to by the guy I punched, I apologize. So, anyways, we're there.
Wait, how long ago was this? How long ago was this?
What?
How long ago was this? Did you say that? How long ago was this? When was this?
I think I was about five, I want to say. And I'm almost 20. I'll be 20 in April in a month, so
15 years ago. I wonder if the dude in that Chuck E. Cheese costume was gonna think back like 15 years ago, like, damn, that kid punched me.
I want to give him a flashback. I think it would be funny.
Okay, continue.
Right. So my cousin turns to me and he goes, "This guy creeps me out." And the way I took it like in a mafia movie when the boss calls their associates in and orders a hit.
Yeah.
Exactly how it felt to me, and I just reached my fist out and I hear oh, and I see him like double over. I was performing a service there. I was doing a hit for the boss.
Oh goodness, that's quite funny. What happened after that? Did you just punch? I
don't remember anything after that. I remember
you just remember the punch
and
then nothing.
Yeah. And I remember, I don't think my mom was actually mad at me in the end because she thought it was funny too.
Oh, that's good. I wish I had like a funny story. I love like Chuck E. Cheese like that. I don't. I remember going to Chuck E. Cheese often as a kid, and I always made it my mission to beat the freaking the Jurassic Park shooter game that we had at the Chuck E. Cheese that we went to. Me and my like childhood friend made that our mission. And I distinctly remember one of the last times I ever went to a Chuck E. Cheese. I think we did it. I think we actually did beat that Jurassic Park game. And I remember feeling so satisfied.
Must have been quite the challenge, I imagine.
It was quite the challenge because we were like 7 and we had like no idea what we were doing, and it was kind of freaky because there's like a T-Rex thing like chasing you in first person, and we were like, whoa. Tyrannosaurus Reximus Eximus Tyrannosaurus.
Trying to remember a time I had that level of visceral fear in a video game when I was young. The first video game I ever played, 007 Nightfire, one of the last missions is one when you're in you steal a truck and you have to like rush through this island and destroy a bunch of shit. I remember part of that mission just intrinsically scared me, so I would just hand the controller to my dad and have him play through half of it, and I'd do like an on-the-rails section later on, because it was less scary to me. Watching YouTubers play through that section, I think I'm amazed I never got insanely frustrated with that. That whole section is so bullshit, because you start with the same amount of health you have from the last section. If you die on that, you go all the way back to the beginning, and there's no way for you to pick up health during that. And it's an on the rails section the whole time too, whether you like that or not.
I've never heard of this game. I've never heard of this game. So, I'm looking it up right now. What version was this? Was this the
This was
GameCube, the
the console
PlayStation 2,
version.
the
This is an
Xbox,
Xbox
or
version.
is the Xbox version?
Yeah.
You were an Xbox baby.
Yeah.
Wow, that's rare. That like that. This is OG Xbox we're talking about with like OG
Yeah.
Xbox. That's a rarity.
I was
You're,
like 5 when this happened, though. I don't.
that is a rare thing. You are in a broad minority. A broad minority. Look at me. I can words. You are in a minority of people who had an OG Xbox growing up. How does that feel? How does that feel? That's insane.
Wait, like that's only now hit me the same way. When I got really into Persona, my mom got me what was that the game? Persona 2Q. And I later found out this was like the last game they made for the 3DS, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's true. Atlas actually made a few games for the 3DS. Thinking back on it, it was mostly ports though. Well, no. There were two main lines, two ports slash remakes, and then two Persona games. Those are just SMT games. I'm sure Atlas made like tons of other games. Oh, they made the shitty licensed Attack on Titan game for 3DS. I remember that. I remember that. Oh my god! I just remembered that. Wow, that game sucks.
Tell me what it's like. I've never heard of this.
I can barely remember. I just remember the first level. I'm pretty sure it's like broken to shit. Like it's pretty unplayable because it's so poorly developed.
Knowing Atlas, they're like, I bet you they're also sitting there thinking like, how can we make this about like an underage character showing off her body? Come on, guys, think.
I don't think they really did that because this was AOT. AOT wasn't like that back then. Surprisingly,
I've never really seen it. I saw like the first 2 or 3 eps. I don't think it's like that at all, but it is gory, right?
it's violent, but it's like that's like whatever. That's whatever. Who cares about that? It doesn't matter.
You're signing up for that when you watch AOT.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd have opinions on it if you watched the more recent things that have come out of it. It's not good. It's not good. It's kind of weird, but not surprising. Okay, the game was called Attack on Titan: Humanity in Chains. Hold on. Let me see if this is the right one. Atlas.
By the way,
Okay, yeah, this is the right one.
well, fuck. If my computer overheats at any point from the game I'm playing, I apologize. I'll be back.
What game are you playing?
War Game Red Dragon.
Never heard of it.
It's like one of those. I think War Game is what you call the type of game.
Wait, board game?
I've been trying to actually get good at it. I've had it for a while. I've sucked ass most of the time, but I've been somewhat actually getting good at it as of recent.
Wait, you said board game, like BOARD, board game? Or...
War Game, like
war game. Oh, like the tank games, all those tank games that the people like.
Sorta, yeah. I think it's in that. I would put that in that same category.
Yeah, I've never played those games. They don't interest me.
On the dot point.
Hmm.
Well, that's not a good sign. Somebody on my team has surrendered and the game hasn't even started yet.
Oh, that's kind of crazy. Are they French?
I don't know. I think half the people in the server are Russian or Ukrainian.
Well, that sounds like a fun game. Sounds like a fun time. It's like Counter-Strike. Oh, Counter-Strike.
I remember I was playing one of these low-level servers, and in the sort of like, cliche gamer stereotype thing, a dude with a username in all Chinese who's like 30 levels above the limit got kicked. Showing up.
Oh god. nothing instilled more. I remember because I remember like waking up like really early and I couldn't go back to sleep. So it was like really early in the morning, and I played like Splatoon, and I go into the lobby. Everywhere it's just Japanese and Korean, and I'm like, whoa! And I got my ass handed to me on goddamn Splatoon, and I was like, damn.
Let's get fire support stuff going, maybe recon stuff.
East Asian people do not play around when it comes to competitive video games. They do not play around.
I think the funniest experience I had in a competitive game. Are you familiar with like Mount and Blade by chance, or like any game similar to it?
I know.
I think there's a deal. I think it's a DLC that sets it in the Napoleonic Wars, and then there's like an expansion for that turned into its own video game. And like, I jumped on a European server one time because I got so fucking sick of the people in American servers who think it's the funniest motherfucking thing to do to like take their mic and scream into it like this. And it was funny, but it was really funny. I was surprised by how much more out of pocket the people could be sometimes. Like, there was this little boy who was getting his ass whooped. He sounded like he was 9 or so, and he was like crying. And the whole time, this guy with an Eastern European accent keeps calling him a whore. What's up? Oh, awesome. Thank you, Mom. I've needed that shit. Do you know how annoying it is when you're fuck. You lose a pen. Your pencil here gets dull, and you gotta like sharpen it like you're using like an old fashioned pen. It feels like.
Yeah. I feel that.
Support. Oh, I didn't get enough of these. Plenty of these.
The one thing I've never played like those like war like military strategy or whatever games, but I do have a very distinct. This is not my story, but I have a very distinct story. So in high school, I had a friend who was like very into those types of games.
Right.
And so like he was so into them that he was in like a modding community for one of those games, but yeah, something like that. And so and you know like the things with these like types of war games is like the mods for these games are usually just making like a whole new like story mode and like a whole new game.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Actually, you're talking about Hearts of Iron, perchance.
I think it might have been Hearts of Iron. I'm not sure. Yeah, it might have been. It was definitely Hearts of Iron. Yeah, but he was involved in one of those projects, and
I knew a guy who was involved in one of those, but it's a story for a different time. You keep talking, baby.
Yeah, so there was this one dude in the in like who was like on like the modding team for this game, and I don't know how funny it is looking back on it, but this dude he was from somewhere. He was from some ex-Soviet country in Eastern Europe, and
right.
So this dude was like really good at modding, but then one day he just stopped working altogether, and they were like, "Why did you stop working on the mod?" And he was like, "Oh, because my chair broke." He was like,
"I'm sorry if I can't hear you, brother, but this game, I decided to focus on a certain part of the game, and it got loud as fuck."
Gaming while we're recording a podcast. Shame.
Let's see. I'm gonna fucking obliterate this guy right now.
Shame. I almost dropped my rock on my deck. That was kind of bad.
Yeah, I can do that. Totally, I can do that.
No, but so this dude just stopped modding the game because his fucking chair broke. And he literally said in chat the exact term. He said, "Chair broke, can't mod." That's what he said, apparently.
Well, I mean, every artist needs a comfortable environment to do their work in.
Yeah. Chair broke. But I always just imagine just some dude with a sick Eastern European accent saying, "Chair broke, can't mod." It's kind of funny. Kind of funny looking back.
We'll move you here. Yes.
But God, no, the modding communities for those games is like are like insane. Like y'all they really like to go like over the top with them things.
I know. I know. I'm familiar with like TNO can be kind of over the top, which is a Hearts of Iron 4 mod, which is supposed to make it more like a. Basically, the alternate history scenario in mind here is that the Axis powers won World War II,
Very
and
original. Very original.
yeah, very original. But it's like a Cold War type thing, and it's more about like the storytelling of the game rather than like you know, the gameplay. So they've modded war to be something that's only happens as like a scripted event, for example. And most of it is like it's more of a visual novel than like a strategy game, really. And the people who mod that take it insane uber seriously. Familiar with that? Very familiar with that. For better or for worse, I like it, but it's like it gets over the top after a while and repetitive.
Yeah. I heard tank dating simulator. I heard visual novel, and my mind instantly went to the fucking old like tank dating simulator visual novel game. Do you know what I'm talking about? Please tell me you know what I'm talking about.
I probably, but also no. I kind of wish I did. I think it would be really funny if I did.
God, hold on. I have to find it. It's really it's like old and it's dumb. Okay, tank dating. Tank.
One more. Yeah, no.
Yeah, here, Panzer Battles Tank Dating Simulator.
Boy, ugh.
It has a 9 out of 10 on Steam. It is a 9 out of 10 on Steam.
Fucking gross ass fans and shit.
Are you telling me you wouldn't want to date tanks? Do you not want to date the tanks?
I mean, I knew somebody who actually wanted to like fuck cars and shit.
This is going in a different direction than I thought it would, but okay.
I gotta move you here. Move you here.
Wanting to fuck cars is that's kind of wacky. That's kind of out there.
I mean, exhaust pipe equals hole. So I mean, if you're horny enough,
any hole is a goal. That's right. I forgot. Yeah, no, it's so funny. If you look up the freaking. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this on a public podcast that anyone can listen to. Not trying to incriminate myself. Not
blame me for like entering and saying out of pocket shit.
Hold on. If you look up the fucking lady from the Cars movie, go to images. Yeah, like literally the first thing is like the first like alternate thing is pregnant, and it's like, what?
Boy. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god. That was a terrible one. That was awful. I'm sorry. I failed. God, what? I forgot. This bitch is a fucking tramp stamp. This fucking bitch from Cars. They gave this thing a tramp stamp. Do you remember that? Have you ever seen the movie The Cars?
No.
You've never seen Disney Pixar's Cars?
Oh, I have.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear what you said there for a second, so.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
I remember it being a movie. Oh, I just remembered one of those cars looks. Thinking about it, if you squint hard enough, I think she's the love interest. I'm not sure. That car looks kind of like Kim Wexler.
Kim, who is Saul in the Cars universe?
I think he's like probably like his car Sona would be like a broken down station wagon or something.
Probably, bro. They should remake Breaking Bad with cars.
I agree.
They've done Breaking Bad but Mexican, so they can do it with Cars too. I think that would be funny. Not too far off from something they do, considering what Cars 2 was about.
Which one was the spy thriller? I remember that one. Was that,
That was
Cars
Cars
3?
2. That was Cars 2.
Oh, I remember Cars 2 vividly. I remember I thought it was
the greatest
coolest
movie
shit
ever
when I was
made.
little.
It's the greatest movie ever made. No, people are always like throwing shade at Disney. They're like, Disney, stop making sequels. Do an original idea. So, but then with Cars 2, they did a sequel that was also an original idea, and everyone hated it. God. Such hypocrites. Such hypocrites. Who cannot see the mastery that is Cars 2. Cars 2 is like the Sistine Chapel painting of the film industry.
So fucking true.
I know, it's true. It is the movie. It is the greatest movie of all time. It has action. It has romance. It has humor. It has the. It has the.
One of the cars almost fucking die at one point, like Mater or something.
They get shot and they get like crushed to death, I think. Yeah, the cars have fucking like guns and shit.
I remember that. One of them, they have like a car sniper that like snipes another car and has them like die in the or whatever.
Also, it's an environmentalist message at the end of the day. And it's about how the oil industry is ruining the planet. That's what the movie is about.
I remember that, yeah. I mean, I don't think Disney gives a shit about that, but
I
still think that's funny.
God, no. What's my theory? My current working theory that the Avatar movies are just a money laundering scheme.
They probably are.
They probably are, honestly.
The biggest criticism people lobby against them, aside from like the white savior stuff, is that nothing really happens.
Okay, here's Avatar 2. I literally just watched it the other day. It's literally almost the exact same as the first movie, except they wiggle in more like family values bullshit, and it's like whatever. And you can already you can already guess how each of these movies. There's gonna be like 4 more of these movies. I think they already have like 4 more of these movies planned out, and like it's like God, but like it's already so predictable because you're gonna know how each of these movies plays out every single time. It's more predictable than fucking Marvel.
That's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And James Cameron thinks he's like the greatest person ever for these films. I know. Like, actually, the goat of movie making. Steven Spielberg, get out of the way. That kind of shit.
God. It's really funny because James Cameron used to make good movies. He
thinks these are his best, if I remember correctly.
Avatar is not his best. I find it really ironic that the dude who made Aliens and Terminator 2, which features some of like the most iconic... Yeah, I know, which feature like some of the most, like the greatest and like most iconic like usages of practical effects in film history, now makes Avatar. That's like so insane. Like how...
Avatar has great special effects. You can't argue with that, but that's kind of been the film's selling point.
It doesn't have great... I beg to disagree.
Yeah? Sorry.
It's all good.
Sorry, I didn't hear there.
It's all good. I beg to disagree that Avatar has good specials. I don't think it does.
I mean, I say that because like it's the argument that's been made for it.
No, not really.
It's got. That's what I remember.
Here's the thing about all these like VFX, all these like visual effects movies or whatever that are just entirely CG. Like this has been the case like for. I'd say like the past couple of years. But all of these movies are gonna look like shit in a couple years. Like not even like 10 years from now, like 3 years from now. These movies are gonna look like utter dog shit. If you think like um if you think like the fucking like Spider-Man movie or like Avatar or whatever looks good now, like fast forward 3 years, it's not gonna look as good as you think.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna age well. I
No,
think
they
Alien One, and I think Alien Two looked good for their time.
Alien 2 still looks great. Alien 1 just kind of aged a little bit. Like sometimes you can tell the alien is just a costume. Like it's not like the scariest movie ever, I guess.
Alien
Um
One was all right. I think Alien Two was better, like easily.
Alien 2 is like better in like almost every single way.
I loved that movie. I
Alien 2.
used to be in like a. I had only seen it recently, but I used to be in like a Roblox war group that was based on like colonial marines and stuff. I have plenty of stories to tell about them.
I can get that. But no, I fucking love it. What I like about Alien 1 though is like the set design and like the spaceship and like the mining ship and whatnot. And like the thing about that was all that shit was built by hand. They had to like construct those sets and like build those sets in the studio. You know, they don't do that anymore. They just green screen everything, almost. It's kind of sad.
I mean,
Honestly.
I mean that's not comparable. I was gonna say Guillermo del Toro does that, but that's not really comparable because he's like animated stuff. It's not quite the same.
And Guillermo del Toro has made actually good movies, unlike some people. Guillermo del Toro's made a lot of great movies.
Oh no!
Did you see his Pinocchio movie that came out like over the holidays?
The Pinocchio one you said?
His
I've heard
Pinocchio.
it's really good. I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
it's very good. It's very good. It's very creative. Um, my favorite thing about it is that it's more accurate to the book. So it's set in Italy during World War II. And there are like a few scenes where like more like Mussolini shows up, but he's like a very like comedic and like characterized version of Mussolini. But get this, take a guess at who voices Mussolini in the Pinocchio
Uh,
movie.
I'm gonna guess, come off the top of my head, but I know who he is. I forgot. How did I forget his fucking name? He was in Matilda. He's in a lot. All that. Danny DeVito.
No, not Danny Vito. It's Tom Kenny, the dude who voices SpongeBob.
Who lives in a Viking and under the sea? Trad Bob Base.
Oh, no,
Where is he? Trad Bob Base. Join minorities. Something you wish. And follow your leader. And I don't know what a friend made up that verse. Trad Bob based pants, Trad Bob based pants, Trad Bob based pants, Trad Bob based pants.
Alright. That reminds me of the fucking old ass like SpongeBob and like Chinese SpongeBob video on YouTube.
I think I've heard of SpongeBob and China thing where it's like I remember that it was really
No,
racist.
yeah, it's super racist.
I remember also have you seen SpongeBob in Iran, which it's not racist. It's like somebody in Iran made like a fan made thingy, or like he goes to Iran and stuff.
I've
And they're
never seen
looking
that
for
one.
somebody in Iran and they never actually find him. He just goes around like sponge Iran the whole time.
Spongiorana. I know SpongeBob in the Hood. SpongeBob in the Hood.
I hate that one guy who made that. I know what you're talking about. With the fucking where like he goes to it's like the scene where he sells chocolate but he's like getting roasted and shit. And it goes on forever and ever and ever.
I know people in this server who are gonna give you shit for dissing on SpongeBob in the Hood. SpongeBob in the Hood is a community classic, and you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. Deal with it. SpongeBob and the Hood is a community class. I'm saying it right here, right now. But community classic. That's facts. Facts. It is a community classic.
I never liked that. That annoyed the hell out of me. I remember.
I was never allowed to watch SpongeBob as a kid.
One of my aunts was sort of like that. She stopped until when I made fun of her for it. So
No, I
she
was
like,
never allowed to SpongeBob.
I remember I woke up one day. She and one of my cousins were over, and he was watching SpongeBob, and she was like, "Don't watch that; it'll make you stupid." And I thought, I'm not going to let her live that down. And I didn't. And then she changed her mind.
That's great. You changed someone's mind on SpongeBob. SpongeBob. No,
Stink ball.
My grandma used to like let me get away with watching that show because she didn't know the rules. So whenever I came over to grandma's house, I was able to watch SpongeBob until my parents found out, and I've seen like a few episodes of SpongeBob in my life, but like I don't really remember them.
I don't know what the new stuff. I have no idea what the fuck they're thinking with it. It's so fucking weird.
This just happens when you keep a show. When you keep
Ren and Stimpy than SpongeBob.
This happens when you keep a show going on for like longer than you probably should. Well, I mean, I know why they're keeping it going because profit.
Yeah, I think more often than not, people got to realize, sometimes you got to let the show die. I'm sorry, everything is temporary.
You should tell that to the Simpsons showrunners.
Isn't there a scene in the new Simpsons where Lisa's like, "Oh my God, Dad, it's billionaire inventor Elon Musk. Look how awesome he is."
Oh no! I don't know. I don't watch the new Simpsons.
She would not say that.
She would not say that. She would not say that. Hold on. What season of Simpsons is there now? Hold on. Let me check.
Fucking. I am not winning this game. My team and I are not winning it.
Let's see. 33rd season. So we're going to be on season 33 soon.
Yeah, that's enough, I'm afraid.
That's enough Simpsons. I think we've had enough. It stopped being good after like season 8 too. If you're going to watch Simpsons, just watch the season 8. That's it.
That's what I'm doing with Community. I'm only going to watch to season 3 because I've heard it gets terrible after season 3. Dan Harmon did some shitty stuff and got fired for it.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering about that because I didn't know if I was getting Dan Harmon confused with Dan Schneider.
Yeah, Dan Harmon he sexually harassed somebody, but at the same time it's weird because it happened before the show and he apparently apologized to the person and the person said it was like the best apology she's ever seen. So like it was weird.
That's weird. That's crazy. Also, the Russo brothers took part in the making of Community, so it's like...
The who brothers?
The Russo brothers. They're Marvel movie people.
Oh, I saw that in the credits. I was like, huh, these guys are brothers. Huh, cool. I guess.
But this was like before they did. The Community was like before they did Marvel.
Never really seen superhero movies. I consider myself blessed for that. To be
bless yourself. What are the superhero movies that you should watch? Let me think.
Wait, I think I watched Black Panther. Yeah, I remember that now. I watched that because it was just like at the park I used to be in the neighborhood I lived in. It was somebody put up like a projector and put that on. That shit was great. It was awesome.
I don't really like Black Panther. I don't really like the movies.
You don't really like it?
Nah. Rip check. I'm not trying to diss on like Chadwick Boseman. Like he was a good actor. He was a good actor.
You think he was carrying it? Maybe
he kind of carried that movie a little bit. The CG sucks. The plot it's just a generic superhero movie. I like the concept of Wakanda. I think it's a really interesting concept. and you know, obviously, like the movie is like, but you know, it's just a CG clusterfuck. It's not anything new. It's not.
Nothing remarkable.
Yeah, it's nothing remarkable.
Not. I mean, at least white people like myself have Free Guy, which is our Black Panther. To look
Shut
forward
up.
to anytime.
Shush. You're Jewish. You have the Adam Sandler universe. That's your Black Panther.
Yeah, I do have that too. That's right. Thank you. Every time I think about Adam Sandler, I think of the fucking Filthy Frank video on him because it's so fucking true. Like he does not give a fuck about. He's like Nick Cage almost. He's literally like Jewish Nick Cage. He does not give a shit about what everybody else thinks about him, and it's awesome.
No, he's trying to be in like he's trying to be like a decent actor in like decent movies again.
Doesn't he like he wears shirts with like troll faces on them or something? Right?
Well, at least he used to.
Or like, yeah, I've seen he had like a thing on 60 Minutes about him too. I think he's trying to present himself as a decent person too. I don't think he did anything bad. He seems like not a bad guy, but it's just funny.
He's just a funny dude. What he was in Uncut Gems, and now he's trying to be in like good movies again. And so it's like, Adam, come on, make the bad movies.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of, I was talking about this with my friends Thursday. Have you seen fucking Willy's Wonderland?
I don't know if I want to know what that is. Willy's
Like,
Wonderland.
Okay, imagine Five Nights at Freddy's, but with Nicolas
Here we
Cage.
go. Oh wait, no. Now I know what you're talking about. Now I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but I've seen like images of it.
It's the movie of all time. Like, it's the only way you can describe it.
Every movie that has Nick Cage in it is the movie of all time.
So fucking.
I'm not.
So bad, but so good at this. It was like it's the perfect balance of being horrible but great at the same time.
I feel so disappointed in myself last year because I didn't watch the fucking Nick Cage movie where he is Nick Cage.
Where he just plays himself.
Where he just plays himself. That would be like the greatest. It's like the greatest movie. I didn't watch it though. God.
Nick Cage FNAF.
Nick Cage FNAF.
The highlight of that movie, the writing for like every character except like maybe him is horrible, I think. He doesn't speak for like the entire movie, and he later adopts one of the characters as like his daughter, I think. For the best parts of it are when he's like shit faced and stuff. Yeah. He's beating the shit out of the animatronics. Like, he doesn't try to save like all the teenagers at all. He's like all work, no play. Dude is like taking the order to like complete the thingy. Basically, he like drifts into town at the start of the movie. His car breaks down, and this town is like this satanic cult that like sacrifices people to the animatronics, and they usually like pick on like people who drift into town and stuff and give them the offer of like, okay, dude, you've got to like, you know, work the night and we'll fix everything for you and give you some cash. And, you know, Nick Cage takes up the offer. Every other person who does it is killed, but Nick Cage like solos every animatronic.
Because he's Nick Cage. Because he's Nick Cage.
Yeah. And he does it without speaking, and he does it half the time. He does it shit-faced, like his character is at least, because like, you know, whenever he gets his little 10-minute breaks or whatever, all he does is he drinks and he plays like foosball, and then he solos another animatronic, gets back to cleaning, drinks and plays foosball, repeat.
He's living his best life.
Yeah. And it's got every stupid horror movie trope, like the couple that make out in like the room where somebody was murdered, and then they proceed to get like dismantled and shit by one of the animatronics. that sort of shit. And
Fun.
he like, and by the end of the movie, Nick Cage has like killed all of them, adopted one of the characters, except for like, oh my god, this bit. I always remember this bit because it. I wonder why the fuck they put it in there. So, aside from Nick Cage, the other main character is played by a Dominican girl who's like an Instagram celebrity, and I don't know why they did this. They made an animatronic that's like its whole shtick is that it's like so obnoxiously stereotypically Mexican. At the end of the movie, he like runs it over with his car, and it's
Fun.
like the only one that's left, and like it's drifting about town trying to find somebody to kill or something. And then the movie just cuts out with him who hasn't slept the entire time, like hitting the road and like driving out of town with that girl. And that's that.
Yeah.
Looking into it too, these actors looking it up, they seem like a bunch of like first timers who didn't really, you know, you can say
Probably.
no to it, but where you're gonna get your career started anyway. And it's gonna be quite the story to tell when you say, "Hey, I was in Nicolas Cage's Five Nights at Freddy's."
Well, the reason he's in so many movies to begin with is because he's like in a hell of a lot of debt because he blows his money on like everything.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he owns like 25,000 houses. He owns like a bunch of yachts. He owns like he's like a huge comic book collector. Um, yeah, no, dude like blows his money on like everything. He does not know how to spend fucking money. So that's why he's in so many movies because he has to accept everything that comes his way to make money because he's in so much debt.
Damn.
Yeah, poor Nick
No, no.
Cage.
I'll hop in the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Nick Cage, everybody. Nick Cage. Nick Cage. You guys know about Nick Cage? I think I did like a high school, like a middle school project on Nick Cage once. It was really weird. Um, or no. I didn't. It wasn't. It wasn't a project. It was a part of a project, but I remember we were. It was like it was something about like nerds and like comic book and like geekdom or whatever. Because different times. Um, yeah, and I remember I had to look up like famous celebrities who were like the nerdy type, and one of them was like Nick Cage, and I was like, oh, cool. It's so stupid. Like looking back, it's like so dumb looking back because it's like whatever. Everyone has like something that they're like nerdy about, and looking back, honestly, that was I honestly wonder if like the 80s and like the 90s and like whatnot were like actually like the movies or like the kids who were like into like comic books and like everything were like actually picked on and shit like that because like looking back on it now that like all those things are like super mainstream it's like really. I mean, I guess there are like the weird people who are like super into it, but like I don't know, man. And like a lot of those things are like intrinsical to like our culture these days. Like like all like shonen anime is like so like intrinsical
I'm back.
to hello.
Hello. You're,
Hello.
you're
I'm
talking to.
I was talking to the air. I was ranting
What were you ranting
about
about?
shit. Um what was I talking about? Oh yeah. I was talking about how like insane like times have like changed because like it's crazy to me how like back in the day people would get like picked on like hella picked on for like just like liking comics and shit
See, now that's
like
mainstream.
yeah now that's mainstream but even then like back then because it's like I find it so hard to believe considering how like intrinsical a lot of those like characters and stuff are just like are to our culture like
Yeah, and like those comics and stuff were you're talking Marvel, DC type stuff.
Yeah, like did people really get picked on just for liking Superman? Like that's crazy.
That was huge in the '60s, and I think that really blew up in the '40s too, because like the writers are all these guys beat the shit out of Nazis, and also they're somewhat racist against Japanese people,
Yeah,
and
because that was just
everybody was
that
like,
era.
yeah,
That was just that era of propaganda, you know.
yeah, and then they, I think in the '60s I remember because I was given like a book about comics and stuff like that for one of my birthdays. Was the era they got like a bit. I'm trying to think of the right word. I know what I want to say. It just doesn't feel like an
Like
appropriate
progressive,
word to
I
use.
guess. Like progressive.
Sure. I was gonna say angsty because they had
No, no,
that
no.
girlfriend drama
If
and
no,
shit.
no, comics didn't get like angsty until like the 80s. The
Yeah.
so, because of I will talk your ears off about this. Um, so like in the 40s, in like the 30s and 40s, comics were kind of like they were like new. They had like never been done before. They were like new stories, and they were like little animated things that appeal to kids and stuff, like Superman and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but then in comes Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Yes, his name was Bill
It
Finger.
named Bill Finger.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm not, there's a joke to be made there. Um, and so these two guys, they create Batman, and in like the old original, in those like original Detective Comics Batman stories, Bruce Wayne is a very different character than who he is like nowadays. He was like very again like for the time he was like those stories were like super edgy and super gritty, and back then Batman actually used guns and he like actually like killed people and shit. And
You can't do that now. I mean, most of the time, I think. Like no.
no, well, we'll get to that. Let me continue. Um, and and plus with the war going on and all, there were other comics of like depicting like like wars and like battlefields and stuff to but doing it all in like a very glorified manner. But then once all that was said and done, once like the war was over, because during that time period everyone read comics. Like a lot of people, like people of all ages, read comic books. They weren't like a thing. They weren't really like a thing for kids. But once the war was over, and then like all the soldiers and stuff were like coming back, and they'd been changed by the war and whatnot. The view on comics kind of changed, and they started the viewpoints on them kind of changed. They kind of started, oh well, these things are for kids, but then you have like Batman who's like all like gritty and dark and like edgy. So then in like late 40s and in the 50s, when suburbanization was happening, and like the ideas of like the modern American family were like starting to come up. uh what you get what you get is the Comics Code Authority, which,
Oh, I heard about that and how
yeah,
terrible that was.
yeah, this was
Can't
basically
imagine.
like some like, oh, you have to conform to like our very Christian family values. You can't depict this and you can't depict that, and you can't depict all of these things. And your comic has to have this like stamp on it or whatever, this like approval thing on it. Um, and then that was kind of that. So with on the DC end of things, they started making, but ultimately, this thing right here, this Comics Code Authority thing. This is why Batman doesn't use guns. This is why Batman doesn't kill people.
Mm.
So it's really interesting how this whole censorship guideline brought about arguably one of the most defining traits of Batman's character, and like the defining trait for like a lot of other superheroes. So it's very interesting how that worked out. Um, then so this thing was in effect for a very long time, for about like from like the 50s to like the 80s. So then in the 80s, what happened was
They relaxed that.
kind of there was a bit more, I guess, a relaxation. Comics kind of started getting darker because you had like writers like Alan Moore and God, what's his name? The Dark Knight. So Frank Miller. Like Frank Miller wrote Dark Knight Returns, and then Alan Moore came onto the scene. And he wrote, or well, he had been around for a while, but he wrote Watchmen. And those stories kind of just changed everything because those stories were like very dark and like super gritty and kind of
Those are the
more.
ones about like allegory for racism, right? If I remember correctly.
Watchmen was like a Cold War era story. It definitely came out during, it was based around a lot of that shit, and like kind of like fear of like imposing nuclear death and stuff like that. That's kind of what Watchmen's. I recommend you read it if you ever get the chance. It's a very good story. It's arguably one of the best comics ever written. But Alan Moore did like a couple other like very edgy and gritty, like Alan Moore, not really Frank Miller, but I honestly like to credit Alan Moore a lot more with kind of like the more dark and like gratification of comics in the 80s because he wrote, like again, he wrote Watchmen. He wrote V for Vendetta. He wrote Killing Joke, a Batman story, and yeah, he's written like a ton of other very great stories. V for Vendetta is another story that if anyone gets the chance, I think you should check out. V for Vendetta also has a very good movie adaptation that was directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski, who the girls the ladies who did the Matrix franchise.
Yeah.
So I recommend that movie as well, along with the book. They're both very good in my opinion. And Alan Moore, in my opinion, is one of the greatest. He's probably one of the greatest progressive writers in comic history. He's probably my favorite writer. He wrote very good stories. Again, V for Vendetta, I feel like kind of definitely cemented that. Alan Moore, great writer. But yeah, in the 90s, comics kind of started getting darker. Back to my original point. The comics were like starting to get darker and they were starting to get edgier. They were starting to get a bit more like quote unquote adult. I think in like the mid late 80s, DC kind of did away with the Authority altogether. By that point, it had weakened significantly. Like no one really, people kind of stopped.
Nobody took that seriously anymore.
Yeah, people kind of stopped caring, and so DC kind of did away with it entirely. And they started implementing their own kind of like they started implementing their own age system, their own like age rating guidelines and stuff for like like their own like personal company stuff. And then Marvel did the same because Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, those were obviously DC stories. On Marvel's end of things, they were starting to come out with characters like Wolverine and the Punisher. Those characters were definitely gaining popularity in the 80s, and like those characters are like very like gritty and very violent. And then in the 90s, that's when like Deadpool was first came around, and like Marvel eventually did away with it as well, and the rest is kind of history. Now the comics are kind of just whatever they want to be for the most part,
which is good,
kind of. Not perfect, but it's better. Yeah. Eventually, Marvel also would just start making like outright like adult like comics. Like, oh, these comics are like actually for like adults with their Marvel Max line, which they did for like Deadpool and the Punisher. Punisher Max is a series, the Marvel Max Punisher series. I quite enjoy. The problem is, those comics were written by Garth Ennis, who's kind of an idiot.
I've heard about him.
Yeah.
He's not very good at like being subtle at all.
So for those of you who don't know, Garth Ennis is the dude who created The Boys, and
The original one was just like was it? I remember
it's bad.
the shit
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Every superhero is actually a child molester or whatever. You know.
Yeah, no, it's just
fucked up. It is.
No, I think the yeah, it's like a generic like Superman. It's like, oh, what if Superman was evil? But like it gets so bad. Like there's a part where like it shows like a picture of like Homelander like cannibalizing a baby.
This really says a lot about our society.
Yeah. Then God, there's a part I think where I really like drew the line in, but I really got pissed off with it and just stopped reading it. Was when so basically the character her like superhero name is like Starbright or something, and she's kind of like the new girl to like the like superhero team and like the main superhero team in The Boys is not actually called The Boys. The Boys is like the group is like the main character group with like that. The Boys is not Homelander.
They go after those guys.
Yeah, the Boys go after the Seven. The Seven is like basically like the Justice League of like this universe. But so like the girl Starbright. This is in the first chapter of this. This isn't the first issue of the series. Basically, in order to get on the team, like she thinks it's gonna be like all happy go lucky and that she's like gonna do some good, but then like literally the first couple of pages, like Homelander and like all the other characters on that team, they are all like, oh, suck our dicks if you want to be on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured that's what it was gonna be.
Yeah, and she like has this whole conundrum, and so they basically rape her.
Yeah.
I
figured that was gonna be what it was.
That's in the first issue, by the way. This is the first issue of this series. If you, yeah. Flash forward like 2 volumes. Basically, so Starbright, she dates the main character of The Boys is this he's Scottish. Is this Scottish dude named Huey, and Huey and Starbright, they kind of like they kind of like start like getting together, but Huey doesn't know that she's on the Seven, and Starbright doesn't know that Huey is a member of The Boys, because like they're because like both those two teams are kind of like trying to like bring each other down because they hate each other, and it's Garth Ennis, so it's like whatever. But basically, kind of like what happens is it comes to light that Huey is dating Starbright, even though he doesn't know it. So but like The Boys, like the lead dude of The Boys is this dude named Billy Butcher. He's this like British dude. So like his whole thing is, so they basically like wiretapped and like put like secret cameras around like the Seven's like Skybase, or like what they're like headquarters. So he had like footage of like Starbright getting raped by all the members of the Seven, but like just like I don't know how to like describe it because it's so fucking stupid what happens. So what happens is
blackmail with his teammate about it.
Kind of. So like what happens is like Billy shows Huey the footage of Starbright getting raped, and then Huey goes to confront Starbright about it, and he's like, "Oh, you wanted that. You wanted it." And it's like so fucking stupid. It's so bad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's awful. Don't read it. Don't read it. Just don't.
I mean, sometimes people are like that, but what's the point of writing shit like that? You have to write shit like that.
Yeah, and literally, like, the whole point of her character is like, I can't remember the specifics, but like it goes against like the whole point of her character, because if you read it, you'll know what I mean. But don't read it. I haven't seen the show. Apparently, the show like tones a lot of stuff down, but I don't really want to watch the show. All things considered,
people kind of soy about it.
People kind of soyed about it. Which is not surprising. Yeah, but that, I mean, all that shit was like a marketing scheme and whatnot. So it's like I don't know, just don't read it, because I read, because like last year I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch The Boys, but I want to like kind of like get to know like Garth Ennis as a writer. So I like read Punisher Max at first. Punisher Max had like a couple like moments. It was like mildly racist, and it was like I don't know, because Garth Ennis is a British dude, and there's like a lot of like shit like about the IRA, and like a lot of shit that's like against the IRA, and it's like, okay, dude. But overall, I thought Punisher Max was a pretty solid series aside from like those things. I thought he did a pretty good job of kind of like more modernizing the character of Frank Castle, because like the thing about the Punisher is that he came around like his original character in his like original comics was kind of modeled after like the 80s action hero. Like he was modeled after like Schwarzenegger and Stallone, like Harrison Ford. That's kind of like who he was. And Garth Ennis kind of took his character and kind of like modernized him and like reestablished his origin story. And like I thought it was all pretty cool, and I thought it was pretty good, aside from like, you know, like a few like, you know, those more minor elements. So then I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm gonna check out The Boys now. And then I started reading The Boys, and it's so much worse. It's so bad. It's so off the wall. It's so I just like when I'm reading it, I'm wondering like, how is this popular enough to justify a major film studio making an adaptation of this?
From what I hear, it's like the adaptation is, aside from like toning it down a bit, is a bit more focused with what it does and a bit less, you know, off the rails.
Yeah, I know the story is like almost entirely different from what I understand. Like
same basic human order, but that's it.
Like the character of Soldier Boy in the show and in the comics is like completely different. In like the show, he's like more of like an important character, but in the comics, he's kind of just like a gag parody of like Captain America or whatever, who gets like his head decapitated in like 2 pages. So like yeah, there's that. Yeah, it's just it's so weird how just like a writer like that is just like that and is just allowed to like be a part of the industry. To me,
Garth Ennis, I mean, not subtle at all.
He's not a very subtle dude. Like I don't really know why the dude obviously like hates like there's like a common sentiment around like comic readers that like the dude obviously like hates superheroes, so it's like, why are you like writing superhero comics, dude?
Maybe to shit on them, but at the same time he's not.
No, like obviously it's like a dark parody, but like it's been done so many times before. If you want to read a story like The Boys, then just read Watchmen. Watchmen does like everything that The Boys does, but like better, because it was written by Alan Moore, and Alan Moore is like, again, I know I dick ride him hard, but Alan Moore is like a genius and is like actually like a good writer. So yeah, there's that. Just read Watchmen. I don't understand why you would want to read The Boys outside of morbid curiosity. Because I had heard people show on The Boys comics before I read it, but I was just so morbidly curious that I decided to read it, and it sucked.
Well, now you know.
Now you know. Now you know.
Yeah.
So if you're curious at all to read The Boys, A, if you are going to read it,
No.
pirate it. B, if you want to read it, don't. Just don't. I wouldn't say it's worth it. If you want to even consume the material, just watch the show then. But yeah, just don't fuck Garth Ennis. He shitty writer. Shitty writer. He's like.
Is he a shitty person too? Out of curiosity.
I don't know. I've never. I'm going to assume that art reflects the artist on this one. Let me look him up. Let me look at this Wikipedia. Yeah, he's definitely a Brit, all right. Oh no! He's Irish. He's Northern Irish. Wait, I thought I was British. Let's see, Garth Ennis, born January 16th, 1970, is a Northern Irish American. Okay, that's strange. Best known for the Vertigo series Preacher with artist Steve Dillon, his 9-year run on Marvel Comics' Punisher franchise, and The Boys with artist Derek Robertson. He collaborated with artists such as Dillon and Glenberry on Preacher, John McCrea on Hitman. I didn't know he did Hitman.
Like Hitman, like the video games, like.
Let me see. Oh no! Not the video games. This is a different Hitman. This is a different Hitman character. Well, let me see. Let's see. Where's there controversies? Let's listen to you. There's on his Wikipedia page. There's no controversies tab. So I'm assuming. Let's see. Independent publishers and creator-owned works. Influences and views. Let's see. Influences and views on comics. Enos has explained that as an average reader of British war comics during his formative years, he did not read superhero comics until his late teens, at which point he found them ridiculous, although he frequently cites mid-80s superhero material among his influences. For instance, Enos noted that his first American comic book he read in its entirety and appreciated was The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, an author who would prove influential on Enos' subsequent work. Whatever. With Enos citing Miller's portrayal of Nick Fury and Elektra Assassin as his model for writing the character. Oh, that's interesting. Enos said that he was blown away by Miller as The Dark Knight Returns was the first time he encountered a comic writer who approached his work like a novelist, while Enos... I'm going to tell you all right now, I think Dark Knight Returns is an overrated story. That's just my personal opinion. I prefer Alan Moore and Watchmen and stuff. Enos says the Punisher kill.
Line of thinking is, this is so horrible, I've got to do the opposite. I remember I took a film class, which was really an English class in high school, and there was some movie I watched that was so horrible. I don't remember what it was, but it made me think, I need to start making movies. Oh, I remember it now. It was this shitty British war movie. This shitty British war movie. It wasn't even one of those movies about World War II or whatever, like most of them. It was a modern movie, too, about British imperial stuff that was originally like an action novel for boys that glorified that. Except this adaptation still did that. It was done, for whatever reason, an Indian guy directed it and decided, I will glorify the British Empire with my work.
Here we go. Personal life. Enos had become a citizen of the United States by July 2016. Enos is an atheist and said he feels disdain toward religion. Enos blamed growing up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles for influencing this attitude. While he was not directly involved in the conflict as a child, Enos would hear about it each morning on the radio. Enos has related that having been raised secular, religiously motivated violence made no sense to him, characterizing such conflict as a disagreement among participants over how to worship their imaginary. Disagreement among participants over how to worship their imaginary friend then more than anything gave me a distrust of religion. Enos has maintained an interest in military history since childhood, inspired by the war comics of his youth. I'm
not exactly. I'd say I'm culturally, secularly Jewish and all that. I think religion is like the most interesting thing about humanity. I don't blame people, like atheists especially, who have had, especially those who have had bad experiences with religion.
And especially nowadays.
Yeah, but like, sometimes you guys are like, I mean, you're not like going around killing people like religious people are. I give you credit. You're not decapitating people or crucifying them or stoning them, but you are annoying as fuck.
You are very annoying as fuck, I know.
I think that's fair to say.
I was raised Catholic, but I don't conform to any particular belief. But I love learning about religion, and I love learning about all those things because
it's very fascinating.
It's very fascinating. I love those stories. I like to think that it helps me with my own storytelling, and like I personally I love learning about where things come from, and like especially with like religion, I love like trying to like figure out like where all these stories came from and like how all these like different cultures, you know, came to like influence each other and whatnot. And like that's just me. Like I love learning about shit like that, and I love learning about other people's faith, and stuff like that. As long as they're not like assholes and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. I've had plenty of funny experiences with the silliest fucking Jewish people ever, like the religious ones. Who say shit like, there was a guy when I was around the time I turned 14 who lived down the street from my mom and I in our little suburb. He, only other Jewish family in the suburb. He came in and he started preaching to my mom about how I need to be like brought up properly, and he said shit like Einstein was worse than Hitler because he didn't use his intellect to study the Torah, which is like, it feels to me like it's got the same energy as like you know those edits of Goku doing shit like reading the Quran.
Yeah,
that's the kind of shit I imagine. It's like you're fucking like, what if Goku was HIV positive?
I need to watch those videos. Speaking of morbid curiosity, I feel like I should watch those videos just to see, just out of morbid curiosity. I need to watch one of those videos just to see what they're about. Just to see. Just because I'm curious.
Aren't there like 15 or so of those?
I have no idea. Hold on. Let's go to YouTube right now. Let's see.
And they're all like an hour or so long.
What? They are not. Goku.
They're like 40 minutes. There's like on par with like I don't know, some kind of show that lasts 40 minutes. They're very long. Somebody really
archive. This one's 5 minutes. Let's see. Okay, well now I'm coming into question because I'm not finding it. I'm barely finding anything. Where are those videos even real? Think about it. Oh god. Now I'm finding weird shit. I'm going down the pipeline. This is a pipeline. I found a YouTube short that says Goku has AIDS, but it's a meme. It's a meme. Goku is racist and got cancer? A playlist? What? What? Oh, it's just a playlist of memes. But the title is Goku is racist and got cancer? It was made by a kid named Ian.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Hold on. I'm posting it in chat.
It sounds like the title of like one
awful
of those
taste,
like, you know,
awful taste Dragon Ball memes.
Videos.
Wait, what?
It sounds like the title of one of those like fetish bait Elsa videos.
What? There's a Polnareff. What the fuck? The last video in this playlist is called Polnareff Gets Starfingered. Why is there a JoJo edit? Why is there a JoJo meme in this Dragon Ball? Wait.
I think Polnareff personally, he carried part 3. I'm gonna say this like right now. Part 3 sucked ass, in my opinion.
It's part
He carried
3.
it.
It's part 3.
Part 3 of JoJo.
It's part 3. It is part 3.
Are you saying that in a good or a bad way?
I'm saying that in a way. It's part 3.
No, it's one of those things that are, wow. I remember why you would say that now. I remember all the shit with the fucking sex predator ape or whatever. I'm gonna call it the evil NFT from now on.
The evil NFT. I barely remember that. The one like really weird thing that I remember in part 3 is like the fucking Alessi dude whose like whole powers were literally based around him being a pedophile.
I think I remember that.
His stand had the ability to like de-age people.
The secret power of Persona fans.
Shush. Ugh. And it's March 5th too. Saying that on March 5th, insane.
Oh shit.
It's March 5th. It's person 3 day. It's person 3 day. Whoa.
Person 3 day.
Person 3. We love person 3. We love person 3. Maybe.
I'm playing through Portable right now. I've got to say, like, the female route is just better than the male one. Like, no other way to put it.
You can romance the kid, though.
I mean, there's that, but, like, I think you can sort of flirt with Maiko in the male route, too.
Oh yeah, that's right. She asked you to like she like asked you to marry him. She like asked him to marry her, and it's like, girl, you're like 4. Shut up.
I think you can sort of go along with it, but he doesn't seem very enthusiastic about it. The main character, it's more of a like, yeah, whatever. I'll play with the little kid, entertain their fantasy or whatever. But like, it's still, I would not say to a little kid that I'm going to marry them.
I would just not put that in a game entirely, but like, okay, it's like cool.
I think the Ken link could have been done way better. Because like, here's the thing I'm thinking, like, you put it in there because every now and then little kids do get crushes on older people. God knows I did when I was little.
Yeah,
that hasn't fucked me up. But it should be like a
actually, yeah, I remember because like my older sister is like significantly older than me, so she was like in high school when I was like 4 and 5. I remember telling like one of her friends that I was gonna marry her.
Mm-hmm.
I had balls when I was a kid.
I feel like that could be like tweaked to be like a lesson about how to handle that kind of situation.
Yeah. Maybe,
like,
maybe.
You have no choice but to say no. Like, say no because, oh, well, you're a kid. I'm, much older than you. And that's wrong. And because of the power dynamics and because you don't understand it love fully yet because you're a fucking kid. And that would be pretty good. Otherwise, I would just get rid of the romance option.
Although it is Persona.
Well, that is getting rid of the romance option.
It is Persona, so you also don't know how people are going to like interpret it because people are stupid.
How dare you? This is like woke liberal. I don't know. Liberal Sona.
Libsona.
Like Hide Junpei.
Junpei!
And fucking Chide Yukari or whatever.
Chide!
Non-binary, I guess.
Non-binary, I guess.
The pronoun bot or whatever.
Pronoun bot. Probot.
Where she can like dispense hormones instead of having machine guns, she's got like one arm that dispenses testrogel, another one that has estradiol, and like blockers that come out of her mouth or something. I don't know.
Funny robot.
I find it so fucking funny that her English voice actress has the political stances that she does. It's
Oh
just
yeah, I
funny.
forgot about that. They all do. Like all the fucking Persona voice actors have that or like that though. It's so weird.
They all do. I thought. I mean, Yuri
But like most of
Lowenthal
them
is
do.
pretty good though.
Yukiko, I think like a couple other of them do too. It's so weird.
I mean, Vic Mignogna, just saying his name brings out controversy because he's just that horrendous. Um, I don't know who are the other ones who have weird opinions like that because I know when Persona got big again, what's his name? Yuri Lowenthal made a point of saying, "Put in the Yosuke romance link." I voiced that shit. I will fucking mod that in.
Did,
Need
didn't
be.
didn't Yuri Lowenthal get into NFTs or was that someone else?
That was Troy Baker, I think. And to be honest, I don't really care too much about that because when that first blew up, like these guys are all like celebrities, pro voice actors, all
Yeah.
that. I'm willing to bet it went like this. Like their agent shows up and is like, "Hey, check out this new trend. It's what everybody's doing. You'll get paid to be involved with it." And they were like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And they promoted a scam along the way, sure, but I don't think it was,
Yeah.
I think those. If you were a dumbass, you were gonna get roped into it anyway. Personally,
And now they are no longer profitable.
I think it's like it was. To be fair, it was a. If you put in any time to think about it, it was very obviously a pyramid scheme. But
No, God, no. I remember like there's like a podcast episode from like a year ago where like me and Ebby were like debating it because we were trying to wrap our heads around like why they were bad for the environment specifically because that was the part that I couldn't figure out. That was the part I couldn't figure out. And then I remember Jaya came on to explain how exactly that worked. But even now, I don't get it. I still don't understand how like a dumb fucking image on the internet is
of a
like
monkey.
a fucking dumbass looking monkey is like so harmful to the environment. That's so stupid. Like it shouldn't work like that. It just shouldn't.
Supercomputers and shit that it takes to generate those.
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember that she explained like, oh yeah, if there were like power outages in like South like all over South America because of fucking NFTs and Bitcoin mining. Like that's so stupid. That should not have happened.
I know, right? I remember the first time I heard about NFTs, I was over with a cousin talking about it, and I literally, it was like late at night, it had to be like 11 or 12 or so, and I was laughing so motherfucking hard looking at like these pictures of the fucking monkeys that were like worth more than like what my house is worth.
I know it's so dumb.
People were
I
eagerly eating that shit up like, oh my god. And the fucking, what else am I thinking? Like the other thing, we noticed like the value doubled if it was on a purple background. It was so fucking funny.
oh yes, purple. Actually, no, that makes sense because purple is the color of royalty. So there we go.
Yeah, but still, it's like one change, and it's not 600,000 anymore. It's like let me see what 600,000.
Millions. I think
600.
some of them even went for billions too. Like
Yeah,
wow.
like 600,000. Like a purple background would make it worth 100. Let me see how many. One comma like 12 million. Yeah, like 12 million because of a fucking purple background.
It's whack. That should not have happened. Like that whole debacle should not have happened. Straight up.
I know, right? In retrospect, if we achieve some kind of future where like we abolish money and there's like no more class society and shit, people are going to look back on NFTs and look back at them the way we look back at the fucking tulip mania in the 1600s. If you're familiar with that,
I'm not. Wait. What was that?
tulip mania.
Please explain this to me because I do not know what that is.
Back in the Netherlands when they were doing like colonialism and shit, and they encountered tulips for the first time, people loved that shit so much and bought so many fucking tulips that like there was inflation and all that shit, and then tulips became through inflation worth more than a house in the Netherlands. and people would still not stop buying tulips even when they were more expensive than homes.
That's crazy.
Like that kind of shit. Except tulips are pretty, so I mean, there's that.
Yeah, tulips are like pretty, and they're like actually tangible things that you can like touch.
Yeah.
And NFT is just like a bunch of pixels on a screen. It's not like actually tangible.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
real.
You have the right to like own the pixel, I guess, but I mean, the value is infamously completely destroyed by just like screenshotting it and sending it to somebody else.
Yeah, it's like it's not actually exclusive. It's not like actually like privately commissioning an artist because then as long as you don't post that private commission or like share that private commission, then I'm just gonna say that is yours. That just is your picture that you own now. As long as you
Yeah.
don't choose to like share, because I know some people do commission people and then give them the okay to publicly share the image.
Yeah.
It's very dumb. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. How long have we been recording? Almost an hour and a half. I think that's a pretty good episode.
Awesome. I agree. I might come back for later because that was fun.
Yeah, no, we're done. We do this every week. We do this every week at like around this time. Or well, like we try to. I try to.
Alright.
Sometimes it's
I'm gonna
literally
get
just me sitting here waiting for people to show up for like 2 hours before I eventually call it a day
I wonder where do you post these?
on YouTube.
Oh, awesome, awesome. You'll
Yeah,
have to link me to one and I'll have a
yeah.
look at it. I'm gonna
People.
go snack. I'm gonna go hop in the
Yeah,
shower and shit, all that
yeah.
sort of
Okay,
stuff.
okay. We have to do our sign off, our outro.
Oh shit, we got an outro?
Yeah, I do a sign off. But yeah, I think this is a pretty solid episode. This is the first time Rebecca's. Let's give a welcome to Rebecca.
Yay! Hello, hello, hello.
First time she's ever been here. Because we've opened up the podcast, so now anyone on the server can join us. But yeah. Anyways, I am Chelsea.
I'm Becca or Rebecca.
And this has been People with Valid Opinions. We will see you all at some point in the future. Please take care of yourselves.
Yeah, baby. I think I'm like next Sunday is my last day of spring break, so I'll probably be able to show up for this.